But we're going to go ahead and get started. So, Rashmi, kick us off, please. Welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hey guys, thank you so much, Courtney. As always, I am very, very grateful that you guys are here. I know that your time is precious, and so we don't take this lightly. And we hope to give you a big bang for your time here tonight. And so I think most of you know me. Some of you know me from my clinic. Some of you know me because you've already worked with me as a client. Some of you just know me as Courtney's friend. Either way, I am grateful to meet you. I am a board certified family physician. This is my 21st year of practice. And I am also a National Board Certified Integrative Wellness Coach and a Yoga Nidra teacher. My favorite part of all of that is that I'm a certified meditation teacher. And so what I do really is I help busy women who are feeling overworked and overwhelmed to tap into inner peace and joy so they can live the energetic and purposeful lives they deserve. And that's really my sort of intention or purpose in life, if you will. So I think most of us are here. Courtney, you think we can kind of move on to our, because we don't want to, it's only 8:04. So I think no matter what, I think we should.
I am going to remind everyone, if you do not have a pencil and paper, if you forgot to bring it, please go grab that now. This is a good time to do that.
Yes. And would you like to wait for another minute or two, Courtney? You tell me.
Let's keep going. I think
let's
get started. Well, I'll admit people if they enter late.
Okay, perfect. And then, of course, if you have questions as I'm going through here, feel free to pop them in the chat. At the end, we're going to go through all of those. And at the very end, after all of those, we're actually going to have some extra time for Q&A as well. So let's start with what is intention, right? So an intention is like a seed, and it is different than a goal in that it has sort of broader sort of reach. It's more like almost like saying, my intention is to lead happier, healthier life. Or I want to feel more connected, or I want to feel more fulfilled. I mean, I write these here as my intention, but truth is, I think all of us have this very same intention, right? I mean, I have been in one-on-one situations with, I think, thousands of people at this point, especially if you look at, just being a family physician. And I can tell you for sure, obviously, when someone is ill, they want to get well. But when they're not ill, they're really, we're really striving for this sort of more connected way to live. And so that's what an intention is. It's a little bit different from a goal. A goal is very important. A goal I think of as sort of almost like a sub intention, right? So if our intention is to live a healthier, more energetic life, for example, then maybe you set a goal for, making sure that you're exercising for 30 minutes every day, or you set a goal to spend X amount of time outside. And so while goals are important, sometimes we forget the why, which is really kind of where the intention comes into play. And we're going to do a really fun exercise together today where we're going to really try to tap into some of that intuition and that inner knowing and figure out what our intentions really are in life. So how do we create these intentions, right? So is it just good enough to say, I just want to be happier? Maybe, sure, but we're going to do a really fun exercise today. So one of the first things that we want to do when we really want to tap into the intention that we really want to know how we want to live our lives is we have to stop, right? We have to get into the quiet. And this can be just a gift that we give ourselves. I know that for me, before I started doing some of this work, and even now, if I allow it, it's a constant doing, it's a constant going. I joke with some of my clients, you're not a human doing, you're a human being. And so really just, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to give ourselves really the gift of being able to tap into the quiet that's already there. And what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to be asking you a few questions. Perfect. Thank you, Courtney. No, that's good. And so what we're really going to do in this next exercise, this is a very simple, very fun mindfulness exercise. And what we're going to do with this exercise is, first we're just going to get quiet, right? And mindfulness, as we practice that per se, and I know that, almost all of you, I think, do practice mindfulness to a certain degree, but sometimes I find it easy to just define it, right? So being mindful is a simple concept. It's in fact really simple. It means that we are paying attention to the present moment with curiosity and without judgment, right? And so it sounds really simple, but it can be really challenging to practice sometimes. And meditation is one way to practice mindfulness. You can have mindful walks. We're going to do this particular mindful exercise. And so the way we're going to do this, and I'll guide you all the way through it, is it's going to be based on this wheel of health, right? So a lot of you who have worked with me before have seen this wheel of health. My training as an integrative health coach was at Duke, and so this is proprietary to Duke, and I'm allowed to use it. But there are lots of different iterations of this particular wheel of health. What might be striking about this wheel of health or any other whole health wheel or diagram is that, yes, of course, when we think of our health, what do we think of? The obvious things, right? What kinds of foods do you eat? How much do you move? How much rest do you get? But really here, the proposal and the idea is a little bit different. It's actually a lot more evolved and a lot more comprehensive. And we're really talking about the whole spectrum of your life, right? So mind, body, spirit, emotional health. And so that means we're going to look at not just movement and rest, right? So not just movement and rest, the obvious ones, but also spirituality, right? And how spiritually connected you feel. And I'm not referring to being religious here, and that's fine if that's how you define spirituality, but really it's just a feeling of having a feeling of connectedness or a higher purpose. That's really what spirituality means to me. What is your physical environment like? How much do you love your work? Are you working on professional growth? Are you working on personal growth? What about your relationships? And what about communication? Those are all parts of your health. And so that's what we're going to be just exploring in this exercise. And so what I want you to do, what I invite you to do is just, first of all, get super comfortable wherever you are. And I would recommend that you sit up straight, make sure you have a back support. And I'm really going to guide you through this exercise. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask us about 8 or 10 questions. And as I ask these questions, I want you to really think about whether you feel like you are struggling in this particular area, or you're thriving in this particular area. And the way I want you to really allow the answers to show up for you is to try really hard not to let too much of that intellect get in. So remember, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I want you to just notice what shows up for you without any judgment, right? So mindfulness means without any judgment and with curiosity as I ask these questions for you. And once we finish this exercise, we're going to give you about 2 to 3 minutes. And that's where the pen and paper come in handy, because I have done this exercise plenty of times. And I can tell you, I wish that I had paper and pen, because a lot of things come up, and then you could just take some time to jot them down, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with that, right? So right now, we're not analyzing, we're not judging, we're really just going to be in this moment and just see what shows up for us. That's really as simple as this gets, right? So, Courtney, you think we're ready to do our little exercise? It's going to be so much fun. It's just about 5 minutes long. It's not too long.
That's great. Let's go for it. I'm going to stop the screen share so everyone can focus on you.
Yeah, and so what we're going to do first is we're just going to get comfortable and just close your eyes. Just gently close your eyes. And let's take a few deep breaths. And with each breath, just letting go of anything that's no longer serving you. Just letting go. Letting go of any tensions you're holding. And now just put your attention at the level of your heart. And just notice your breath at the level of your heart. Just notice the breath coming in, the pause, the exhalation. Just gently noticing without trying to alter it in any way, just gently noticing. If you find your mind has wandered to thoughts or sounds, you've done nothing wrong. Just gently return to your breath at the level of your heart. Still with your attention at the level of your heart, I want you to notice what may come up for you as I ask you these next few questions. Just gently allow whatever may come up to show up without analyzing, without judging, just noticing whether you feel you're struggling or thriving in this area. The first question is, do I feel rested? Do I feel rested? Perhaps you're struggling or thriving. No judgment. The second question is, do I eat healthy, nutritious foods every day? Do I eat healthy, nutritious foods every day? Our next question is, do I move enough? Do I move enough? Just noticing what comes up. Whether you feel like you're struggling or thriving. The next question is, do I have healthy relationships in my family? Do I have healthy relationships in my family? Just noticing what may come up. The next question is, do I have healthy relationships with my friends and my community? Do I have healthy relationships with my friends and my community? Notice if you're struggling or thriving without judging. Do I enjoy my work or what I do every day? Do I enjoy my work or what I do every day? Simply noticing without judgment. Do I laugh? Do I laugh? Next question is, do I have enough creative outlets? Do I have enough creative outlets? Just noticing whether you feel like you're struggling or thriving. Do I have a sense of purpose? Do I have a sense of purpose? Just noticing what may arise. Now we're going to release all the questions and all the answers out into the universe, still keeping our eyes closed, coming back to the breath, gently coming back to the breath and noticing the breath, gently noticing the breath and taking a few deeper breaths. Bring your attention back to your feet, to your body. Another few deeper breaths. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Now is a good time to take out that pen and that paper and just free form write for a couple of minutes. I want to give you just a couple of minutes to just write anything that shows up, and we'll get started with our next screen. Just sit in this quiet. This is not a time to analyze or form a plan. Just write whatever shows up. No justifications. No struggling. Just writing. We've got just about another 30 seconds for all you furious writers. So while you guys are wrapping up your writing and having some fun there, I want to share this this quote I actually ran across today. It's from John Lennon, actually. So he says, "When I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wrote happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignment. And I told them they didn't understand life. So what do you want to be when you grow up?" That's the question. Is it happy? Okay, so now we've got, if you're like me, furious chicken scratches, because that's what my handwriting looks like. Sometimes I cannot read it, but most of the time I can. And so you've got lots and lots of notes, you've got ideas that popped up, and you're really thinking. You're like, okay, what do I do? What do I do now? What do I do now? You're in good hands. A few things to think of. So, and you can do this exercise by yourself as many times as you want. That's the beautiful thing now that you kind of know just to sit in the quiet and just notice and really try not to analyze things as they show up for you. So the first thing really is to trust your intuition. So if it shows up in the quiet, it's really showing up because that's what's there. And so is to really just trust your intuition is the first thing. And the second thing is to really nurture the intention. So, for example, I had an intention that I wanted to teach, or I still do, really 1,000 people how to meditate. And it's a seed. It's a seed. And the more I nurture it, the sapling will grow. And so really it's just a matter of nurturing it. So putting your intentions out into the universe. I just told you my intention, right? And so I put it out into the universe. And you would be surprised as to, they call it sort of the universe conspires to help you reach your higher intentions. And so really you can tell a friend, you can write it down, but really just putting it out into the universe because you've trusted your intuition. Doesn't mean you have to do something big right this instant, right? So the next thing is, yes, we can sit in and mire in the quiet. The quiet is great, like I said, but ultimately the reason we're getting in the quiet is because we're trying to figure out what actions we want to take, right? That's the whole point of this, because it's actions that matter, and it's ultimately actions that really are the key to transformation and movement and evolution. So the thing is, we must take action. So in every coaching conversation, if you've ever been in one with me before, you know that at the end of that, the key really is to come up with some action steps. They don't have to be huge, but they do need to be action oriented. And so really tiny steps. I encourage very small steps. for sure. What we know from a neurobiological standpoint is that if we repeat something every day, so let's say you want to try to run a marathon, for example, you could really, and I know there are, marathon coaches and run coaches, and they have a lot of the same, sort of steps in place as well, which is the consistency of it, which is to really make, whether it's running or any kind of exercise, even if it's for 5 minutes, just consistently doing it really very, very consistently. Same for meditation practice. And the thing is, let's say you want to do something big and you've broken it down to small pieces, which is, again, what I would recommend, is know that you really need to have your back. You just got to have your back. And, I am a recovering perfectionist. I think most of us are here, right? And so, and the word failure is it's like a cuss word, or mediocrity is like a cuss word in my house with my teenage girls. But the thing is, we have to be willing to be mediocre or really poopy at something when we first start off, so that we can get to that level of mastery that we want to get to, no matter what it is. And so we have to give ourselves permission to try and fail and be okay with it and just have our own backs, right? And we've got to remove guilt. So ultimately, whatever shows up for you, maybe there is a competing priority for something else, right? And so maybe you decide you're going to sit for a meditation for 20 minutes every day, but that's the time you were meant to do X, Y, or Z. And that's, that can really be for so many different things. And as that guilt starts to show up, bring it into awareness, and notice whether it's helpful or not. Most of the time, guilt is not helpful. And so we, say, thank you so much, guilt. We're going to have you leave in this particular direction, right? Because what are we doing? We're really nurturing our intentions. There are so many examples I can give you of big intentions being broken down into little actions that then lead to big outcomes. Let me just give you one easy one from just in the last, just this week, actually. Just today. So one of my clients, what had happened over COVID was she was working from home and her husband was working outside of the home, and they had somehow kind of really almost switched sort of schedules in a certain way, in that she was going to bed really late, she was working really late, and then she was sleeping in, and he had to leave for work at a certain time. And so what was happening was they were really kind of missing each other for different parts of the day. And so one of her intentions, and what came to her during this exercise a couple of weeks ago, today was her follow-up, was that she really had wanted to make a better connection with her husband. And so a really simple thing that she decided to do was, over the course of a couple of weeks, she was just going to try to get to bed earlier and be up earlier to match his schedule, for example. And so she started to just have these 15-minute blocks in the morning, and she felt like it was a really good time to connect. And so she was feeling like the kind of the return on her investment for the changes that she decided to make were really well worth it, right? At the end of the day, it's a pretty small thing to change to get something big out of it, which is, that connection with your partner, whoever you want to have the connection with. So that's just one tiny example, but I can go on and on and on. But obviously, like I said, I'm really trying to respect your guys' time. And so what else? How can we continue the conversation, right? How do we continue this conversation of how to kind of break down intentions into goals? And so what I really am super excited to tell you about, because this is a conversation that Courtney and I have been in for several months, as to how we can make this happen on a larger scale and for more people, because I know that almost everyone that I'm working with is looking to thrive, right? So we're kind of busting out the gates from this post-pandemic world, and we're like, okay, we're just ready to thrive, and we're ready to do it in a way that's meaningful for us. And so we have put together the spring 2021 program. It actually starts very soon, May 18th. It's on Tuesday nights, and we are so excited about this. I'm so excited about this. So it's 6 weeks, it's live, which is really rare these days. I know I've got a lot of courses that I keep buying, It's interactive. And of course, it's a very small group that we're willing to let in. And what we're going to do really is the base is really going to be mindfulness and meditation. And from there, we really start to build this very conscious or intentional life. And so we're going to bring in Ayurveda, we're going to bring in different concepts as far as, mind, body, spirit. And I'm going to be there to do some laser coaching in addition to just teaching. And so really the whole reason this is here is for you guys. Ultimately, because what I have invested in for myself over the years, and I am heavily coached, I should tell you, and I continue. I have a coach now, and I will hopefully never stop having a coach. Is really, when you combine coaching with this kind of community as well as accountability. And then of course, the magic mix here is meditation. It's like kind of accelerating an evolution. And that's really why I'm so excited about it. So I'd love to, see if any of you guys have any questions about this. I would very much so encourage, if you're even thinking about it, to check it out. We'll put in, Courtney, I think we'll put in just the, it's on my website. You can go, if you have questions, I am here. I am all ears. And just know that, we've got, just today, we kind of price haggled this down to, we're right now at 25% of the cost of the actual program. And it is honestly really just for you guys. This is not something that I'm running around telling the whole world about. This is really just for a small select group of people. So I want you to really think about it and schedule a time to talk to me, because I think that's actually better. And that way I can answer any questions and things like that.
So Rashmi, I just put your email in the chat for people that
Perfect.
don't have it, but I want to hear some questions from tonight. I want to hear if anyone has anything about that you'd like to share, bring up. You can put it into the chat, or that's probably the easiest way to start since everyone is muted, or I can ask you to unmute if you'd like to ask something. We all know each other. I'm happy to just throw your name in the chat and I'll unmute. Susan already has something in here. She said, I love the exercise, but I'm wondering if this is an option between struggling and thriving.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Sort of like I'm good, right? Like I am good right now. I'm not really struggling. I'm not thriving, but I'm good. And so that might be such a really good way to think about where you are with something, right? So when we think about what shows up for us, we're really looking at what shows up for us. And if you're good, if you feel like you're good, you're good. It doesn't matter what society thinks. It doesn't matter what your partner thinks. It doesn't matter what your parents think or your kids think or whatever. It's really what's showing up for you that matters at that moment. And so I would say, if you're like, I'm neither one, you're probably just fine. Don't mess with it.
That's powerful enough. I'll just take that away. Good enough as you are. All right, someone else asked, when you were talking about meditation, what is yoga nidra meditation or yoga? If that's something they wanted to try, what is?
Yeah. So yoga nidra is actually a guided meditation. Yoga means union, nidra means sleep. It is one of the 8 limbs of yoga. So normally when we think of yoga, you might think of asanas or positions, and that is one of the 8 limbs of yoga. But meditation is another limb of yoga, and it's a really powerful, really easy, and very, very rejuvenating practice that I get really good feedback on, and I love practicing it myself.
Great. Okay, Kara has a good question. What about those of us that struggle with the concept of meditation? And I know there's more than Kara out there, because I have some other friends here who have said the same thing to me. I have the desire, but struggle to get a start, or maybe they just can't focus. What do you say to them?
You're in the right place. You have come to the right place, because it's not like I was a born meditator at all. I struggled with it for years and years and years and years. And so my whole sort of like larger intention, like I said, is to make it effortless and easy for other people, to really kind of pave that pathway, because it has been so transformational for me. And so you're in the right place, especially if you're struggling with meditation, you have even the tiniest of inkling that you might enjoy it. That is my specialty. I have a whole process for that. It's really great fun. Wouldn't you say, Courtney?
I would say so, but I'm kind of biased, but yes, I would say so.
Well, let's say, what about you, for example? You weren't necessarily meditating regularly when we started this
No.
process, right?
No, I didn't have patience for that. There's no way. I didn't, no, but it was, I think it was the first, I started off with a yoga nidra. That was because you're just laying down and you're just learning how to really get in, what do you call it? The third eye, right? To get into that zone. And it takes anything else, it just takes practice, right? But I think that's smart how you do that as the first step before you do any of your coaching, right? You have to be able to focus your mind. And I know that's just what I've been hearing from a lot of people. Everyone is stressed out and burnout, and that's the first place to start so that you can relax. Okay, I'm going to be quiet. Here's another question. Okay, this is what everyone tells me. They find it hard to focus. She uses earbuds and a sleeping mask to get into the zone. Nice, Marjorie.
Yeah, that works. Absolutely. There's no cheating. There's no wrong way to meditate, so that's smart that you just kind of tried a few different things and you found what works. I think that's brilliant.
If anybody else has any tips, feel free to share. Oh, Beth, wow, you just got a sleeping mask with earbuds. That's good. That's awesome. I could use a new one. I'm using my child's. I think it's a big emoji.
I'll send you the link.
Thank you.
I kept losing my earbuds in bed, so.
Very nice.
Love it. Yeah.
Anyone else have any other questions that came up from tonight? What should people do after this exercise? What should they do with this piece of paper now that it's going to be left on their desk? Rashmi, I see mine.
Idea.
What am I going to do with this? I see it.
That's a great idea. Courtney, would you like to share yours so I can do a little laser coaching for you?
No, that's embarrassing. What do I want to share? I'll do for like one question.
Sure. Share something that you don't think is embarrassing.
All right. Okay. All right. Do I move enough? Okay. This one I will say I struggle with because it's not as much as I used to when I was younger. And so I do the shaming, right? Because it's not as much and as fast as I used to. But so when I say I'm thriving at it now, I have to kind of regulate what that means, right? Because it's not thriving what it was to my 30-year-old self. It's thriving to it's okay for where I am right now.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
how about that?
Yeah, you basically just self-coached. I think you're good. You don't need me. You're fixed.
We've been hanging out. Oh no, there's plenty more. You're not going anywhere.
No, but really, honestly, that's it, right? Like, who are we comparing ourselves to? It's really unfair if we think that, our, athletic performance is going to be the same as it was 15 years ago. It's just not the same.
Right.
So are you moving enough is really the question. It wasn't, are you running a marathon? It was, are you moving enough? Right.
Right. But that's a question you have to ask yourself, right? For perfectionists, right? Sometimes that
Right.
number is too high. You can't do that.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Let's see. Leah is telling us meditations really helped her deal with what she eats in her food intake. That's interesting. I hadn't heard that.
That's absolutely what I find for me too, Leah. I wholeheartedly agree. Not just for food, but when I get to bed, just like micro decisions that I'm making, as I'm really meditating, the little micro decisions that I make through my day, that basically, say what kind of day I have. And of course, what kind of day I have is the kind of week I've had and the month and the year and all that, really makes a big difference if I'm more present and aware and more connected to my why or my intention. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah. Good point.
All right, here's some laser coaching for Kara. I exercise regularly and eat really well, but I'm not succeeding in weight loss. Not succeeding means I'm failing. And then I'm frozen. Oh my God, what a great word, with inactivity.
Yeah, what a great way to describe that, right? So that's one of those cycles where you're just stuck. And so it's almost that same thought pattern that keeps you stuck is going to just keep you stuck the whole time, right? And so, and we know that weight loss, most of the time when somebody's looking at weight loss, rarely is simple enough as what you eat and how much you exercise. Yes, we say that, I've said that for years as a doctor, but obviously we all know that there's all kinds of other factors. How much stress do you have? What's your emotional wellness like? There's everything is connected to everything. How much are you sleeping, right? So I would say that's a really good idea to kind of invest in a coach. There are weight loss coaches that do really good programs. Certainly I work with folks too, but yeah, those are the kind of mindset shifts that really can keep us from getting to that next level. And certainly, like I said, I am heavily coached. I'm proud to be coached because we all have those limiting beliefs of, if I don't succeed, then I fail, or whatever, those kinds of things that show up. And what's right in front of our faces sometimes is just hidden from our view. And that's really where a good coach comes in, is there's a gentle shining of the limiting beliefs. And when you start to distinguish those, you're actually able to let them go.
But when you say stuck, you can't just think your way out of it, right? Isn't that where the rewiring comes in? That's something
it really
that I learned.
is. It really is. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Susan wants to know, any recommendations meditating specific time of day?
Not necessarily, but I generally say the morning for sure, because we know that what we normally have planned for the morning, or at least it's true for me and for the people that I coach, is it normally does get done. If it's planned for the morning, it does get done. And so whatever is really important to you, put it in the morning. And then, that second, 5-10 minute meditation around bedtime, if it happens, that's great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I would say morning.
Okay. Beth struggles with compartmentalizing her meditation. I tend to leave the meditation in the moment, and then barrel through the day. What are some tips there?
Yeah, that's a really good one to bring up. Actually, I used to do this too. And I used to just kind of like take off because I'd already felt like, oh my God, I already didn't do X, Y, and Z, and all those thoughts, kind of start showing up for you. But really what we know is that if there's a little bit of a transition time, just a little bit of a transition time, it doesn't have to be like even 5 minutes or anything, but even just 2 minutes of just sitting and noticing how you feel once the meditation timer goes off, we know that we're just going to perform better, right? We just get to press the reset button a little bit differently. So yeah, it's a really good one to notice. And of course you notice that about yourself, which now it means you can make a change with it.
Great. Well, I want folks to keep telling us what can we do right after surgery if we can't move a lot, but realize we need to move and can't?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, obviously, right. So we really shouldn't be moving too much if that's what the surgeon's orders are. But there are some concepts, and you may want to just kind of look into these, especially if it's for like a really extended period of time, like when people were completely immobilized for long periods of time, where people just laid there and they actually just visualized themselves exercising, like they just visualize themselves running or walking or anything like that. Now, I don't know the extent of what you can't do. So if you can walk, then I think that's fine. But for example, for somebody that's totally bedridden and their muscle mass loss was much, much less than somebody who didn't go through that exercise. And this has been done over and over again. So even just considering that kind of activity can actually make the mind body stronger.
That's great. So Rashmi, I had reached out to a few people just asking what was still on their minds as we're trying to find our energy to get back into the pandemic. A lot of people are having a hard time sleeping. That seems to be a theme that's coming up. So I think that's something that as we're thinking about, and you guys let us know more and more things that are on your mind. We want to keep doing these sessions because to Rashmi's point, she is so dedicated to getting these messages out to as many people as possible because it does transform lives. And so anything that in that area where you would need support, please let us know. But I'm seeing sleep could be a big one, Rash, to
For sure. For sure. It
Yeah,
always
that-
is. It always is. And I mean, there's kind of a silent epidemic of sleeplessness, I would say, right? And stress and inflammation and all the stuff that goes along with that for sure. And so, yeah, I just, I did a quick little video on it actually a couple days ago on YouTube, and it's something that I talk about a lot. And in our program that I mentioned, we're actually going to spend a whole entire week just on sleep, and we're going to really just start to kind of almost slice through different issues as far as sleep goes.
That's great. I will learn a lot. That will be
Yeah,
highly
yeah,
informative. All
yeah.
right. Well, I know you, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know if there are any more questions, Rashmi's email's there, and you can always go to her website, optimalwellness.org. But I know you like to close out with some inspiration, Rashmi. So
I do. We're going to do a quick little exercise. I did just want to notice Dr. Babs is here, and thank you so much. See, she says, I relax, release, and let go to wherever the meditation takes me. That must have taken you a long time to do that, because, you know, the words relax and release can be triggering for someone else, right? So I 100% agree. That is my intention with every meditation. And bravo to you for really practicing that, because it is a practice, right? And, you know, not surprisingly, it really just improves her performance. Same for me, for sure, right? So yeah. So if you guys have just another couple of minutes, I want us just to leave here with as many tools as we can. And so I want to do another exercise with you that you can, again, take away and do at any time, just like the questions that we did, right? So let's just get comfy again. If you guys need to, you can like get up and shake off or whatever, because I think you've been sitting for like 50 minutes. And so just whenever you're ready, just have a seat gently again. And this will just be a couple of minutes. It's going to be really fun. And just, you know, gently close your eyes, just gently close your eyes. And again, just letting go of anything that's no longer serving you, just gently letting go. Noticing the breath, noticing your feet, noticing your seat. Just from this gentle space, I want you to really start to visualize yourself fully expressed. That vision of you really joyful, you've come alive, you have energy, you're feeling purposeful. Just really visualize what she looks like. What are you doing? You giving a TED Talk? You on a kayak? You rolling down the road? What kinds of things are you doing? Really just visualize what that looks like, what that feels like. Who are you with? What does your environment look like? You're fully actualized, fully expressed, your best self. Really notice some details about that. How you feel. Are you lighter? Are you more grounded? Almost like you're watching her fully expressed yourself. Just notice just a little sly smile coming across the face, just a little smile. Got a little content note. Just with the next breath, that smile is getting bigger. Bigger. It's a huge grin. Like it's just like crazy joyful. Grinning from ear to ear. Just the joy is like brimming. Like you want to just give this joy to the whole world. Just really noticing this joyful feeling. enjoying it, really living in that moment. And now just releasing that vision, but keeping the feeling, keeping the experience close to your heart. Let's take a few deeper breaths. Just coming back to your body, to your environment. Just bringing back a sense of gratitude for giving yourself this time, this investment, for your best intentions, for creating the life that you want. Just another big deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. That's always really fun. It's something we can do again and again and really leave it close to our hearts. Really just, again, we have studies that show that if we can visualize something, we can then start to create different plans to get there.
Thank you. Thank you for
Dr.
sharing with us
Thank you for
tonight.
being here. Yeah, Christina says she has a hard time even imagining yourself meditating. Yeah, well, you meditated twice today. So you're very welcome. Thank you
You
so
can
much.
do it.
Yeah, you did it. Don't imagine it. You already did it. Lori, namaste. Yes. Yes. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you all for joining. I hate to say goodbye. We